Well, the one that we did back when I was in my youth, so I'll use that as my excuse. We had a fellow who was in possession of an old English casket, and one of the hotels in Crystal Beach used to have their annual Halloween show party who dressed up the best, and there were prizes to see who won, and I believe the winning group got I think a free pitcher of beer. So a half a dozen of us went there, and I was made to look natural and laid in the casket, and took us in and set me up in the corner, and I didn't move, having worked at the old fort and gone through air cadets, so you get used to standing still and not moving, and you know, being very, very still. So they propped me up in the corner and left me there for the first couple of rounds, and then we had to walk through and I went through the show of the different costumes. We saw this one very loud lady who was commenting about the fact that this is all fake and this isn't real and all that. So they told me just to drop my hand off, which I did. You know, whispered to me, fell out of the casket, landed right on her shoulder, which she totally screamed. They put it back in, set me back up in the corner, and left me there. Another round went by, and then they had the awards for who had the best costumes, and our group won, to which I jumped out of the casket, ran over and grabbed a beer, and she got up and ran out of the hotel. So those are one of the stories that are there.
But you know, I have to tell you, not so much in Halloween, but a haunted story, and I can tell many of them about this location, is the Roselon Center. Roselon being the home of our theater, as well as many other activities, the opera series, and other things that happen in our community. Roselon's been there since 1860. It was a home, now as I said, a theater and the president's room and a restaurant and a bar. But nevertheless, when you spend some time in there at night, some weird things do happen, and it's happened to me in the past. As a former member of the Kinsman Club and being president, one of my tasks were, after our meetings that we met at Roselon for, was to clean up the room. And one particular time, and this I'll never forget, because I've never been one to really believe in hauntings or things of that nature, but I tell you, after this night, it really changed my tune. I was cleaning up after everybody had left over at Roselon, and by myself in this facility. It's a 3-story facility. It's a big old home, and cleaning up and putting the bell and the flags away and all the paperwork that we generated at the meeting, putting all that away. And I heard a little noise, and it sounded like a voice actually. And so I went out to the hallway and looked down the hallway and actually seen a door close, and could have swore I'd seen a footstep or a foot go into that door. Kind of shook it off, didn't think nothing of it, thought it was just a winter coincidence, and about half an hour later I was getting ready to leave and heard that same noise again. Went out into the hallway, seen the same door close, and seen the same foot go into that door before it was closing. Now, needless to say, very creeped out, and went home and quickly at that facility. And the funniest part of the story, the most interesting part of the story, was the fact that about 2 weeks later, the manager of the Roselon Center approached me and asked me if we had or needed use of the one room that she found unlocked after having been locked for 6 months. And I said to her, I says, no, why? She goes, well, the day after your meeting, the door was open, and we hadn't opened that door for the past 6 months. So, needless to say, once again, creeped out. And having said that, at the next Kinsman meeting, I made sure there were people around me so that we all walked out together, not just myself.
Favorite Halloween story? I guess I'd have to go back. Well, it's kind of a Halloween-esque story. When I was a kid working in the Niagara Parks Commission in high school, I remember one night, it was Friday the 13th, and it was a full moon. And this moon was a big moon. It was just hanging over the falls. And I thought, wow, what a neat night to go see the Screaming Tunnels. And I put out a message on the walkie-talkies, asked anybody interested, and I didn't hear anything. All I heard was crickets, because everyone was a little bit, already we were a little bit feeling jumpy. And so I put the message out to one of the guys in particular, who I thought he probably couldn't turn down the challenge. And he said, all right, let's go. So a bunch of us went down the Screaming Tunnels. And you know, the talk was when you got to the train tracks, a ghost train would come, and you're supposed to open the car doors and lift your legs. And so we were just at the tracks talking about it. We turned around to do just that, and this train felt like it came out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, ding, 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 it was going by the car, and our hearts skipped a beat. And that set the pace for once we drove down to the area of the Screaming Tunnels, and we got down to the dead end and the dark area, and boy, was it ever dark. And this little bit of water trickling through and pure blackness on the other end. And you know, to be honest with you, I don't know if it was a combination of full moon, Friday the 13th, and the Screaming Tunnels, but the way all three converged, we were too nervous to actually go in that tunnel. We didn't have a flashlight, and none of us wanted to actually take a chance, so we kind of stepped a couple feet in and we left. The only time I really get to watch television is late at night, once the kids are in bed, and usually I'm in bed and I'm watching it in the bedroom. And oftentimes there'll be some very scary, kind of eerie movies late at night. And you know, I'm very visual. And once I have a visual, I have a hard time letting it go. So I don't like the idea of doing that when I'm in the house by myself.
In Port Colborne, I think the most famous area to be creeped out is Hopkins Tomb. Hopkins Tomb being located between Wainfleet and Port Colborne, over at Oakwood Cemetery. Been there since 1899 for Mr. Sam Hopkins. Has always been a destination for a lot of the teenagers to go down and spend some time during Halloween night. I know as a youngster myself, I was one of those teenagers. It's always been a well-known story that if in fact you were to damage the tomb or to even try to break into the tomb, you would find yourself being, for the most part, not only that night, but well into the future, cursed.
The one that I remember most of all was the one about the fellow when the British were trying to take back the fort from the Americans during the siege. And during one of those days off, one of the American soldiers was getting his hair cut. And as he was doing this, a mortar shell came from, a cannonball came from the British side and basically took off the soldier's head and the barber's arms. And that was the big story of this individual, headless individuals wandering around the old fort. Old tale of, you know, from years gone by that there was some sort of documentation that this person died during that day. But fast forward, it would be now 25 years, actually this time ago, when we found those American soldiers that were buried at Snake Hill. And about grave 3 or 4, the archaeologist, Dr. Williamson, gave me a call and said, "Come on down, you got to see this." And there was, in this grave, there was this one U.S. soldier with missing his head, and that was something that you could expect during battle, but included in the grave were 2 extra arms. And so when they did the research, it was basically shown that that wasn't just a story, that actually did happen, and this could have been the individual that actually did that. And you know, rumor has it that he still wanders around the old fort today and causing all sorts of chills and thrills to the people that go through there. And as you all know, the ghost tours are going on, you know, as we speak. So, you know, you can see that.